Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Hello everybody, I'm Alexandra Toneva from Startup Grind Sofia. Startup Grind is a global community for entrepreneurs, and the main idea of this community is to educate and inspire founders. And today we have our guest, Dino, for short Dino, who will tell more about his company and how he managed to be a successful entrepreneur. And we can start with your family background.
Okay, well, I'm 47 years old, and I'm married. I have 2 children, 7 and 9, Marili and Theodore. My father's in the group here today, so he came to see me. I actually have set up, I would say, 3 units, 2 different companies, but 3 different units, and I'll explain what I mean later in terms of starting up something. I love starting up things, and I love doing new projects, and I think it's the easiest thing you could do, even though you'll challenge me on this, but I have a good answer for you. And I'm in the training business, professional training business. And now, this year, 2015, I'm getting into the shared or the common space, as I say, business, which is actually sharing spaces with young entrepreneurs, offering spaces, meeting rooms in Greece, in Athens, where I'm actually completing a very nice, I think, new premises, which will be offered to the public for events as well. I think there's I think there's a need for this in Greece, because there's a big crisis in Greece, but when there's a crisis, there's an opportunity. And I'd like to prove that in one sense, because when companies have problems, they actually shrink in size, which means they don't have spaces. So if you offer a space for them to come to you and rent it or use it, and of course, there's an opportunity. That's one way to see things. Or when young entrepreneurs cannot rent space because maybe they don't have the money, you can also step in and actually help them and help yourself as well. So a lot of things. So common space, professional training, events, motivational speaking, and I travel the world. I've been to about 38 countries, I've calculated, and I really enjoy what I do. Very important.
And how did you find out that this business is actually makes you happy?
Well, I found out mainly through training. When I'm speaking to people, like right now, I like being in a room. I like presenting. I like singing. I have a band of my own. So if you think about this, I like being on a microphone and sharing knowledge or talking to people, discussing, arguing. I like doing that, and that just happened on its own. There is no real thing. Oh, I can't just sit here and tell you, if you do this, you'll become this. That's not the way it's done. Something just happened. There is no explanation. That's why I don't like the questions like, how do you become a successful entrepreneur? I mean, I'll tell you my story, or some stories, but it's different for everyone. But let me tell you one thing, because I've been in a lot of these situations where I speak about entrepreneurship. It takes hard work. Only about 20% of people were lucky. 80% of them have to work very hard. You go up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. So it's not like, oh, I made a great application and I became rich. That doesn't happen. I think even Mark Zuckerberg had a tough time at some point, maybe even legal issues where he would probably lose the company, but eventually he fought through it. I don't know the details, but if you ask him, it wasn't as easy. If you ask Oracle, if you ask Steve Jobs, it wasn't easy. And Steve Jobs was actually thrown out of his company, as you know the story, and it's been around there. So everything is up and down, up and down. So don't think it's easy. The good thing about it is that you do things on your own, and if you are an entrepreneur, if you like the freedom of waking up whenever you want, staying up late as long as you want, doing things the way you want, giving the prices you want, doing the strategy you want, without actually being influenced by other people, it's the best thing you could do. That freedom, you cannot pay for it. I have offers and I'm saying this openly, from companies to go work for them, big companies, major multinationals, and I'm not giving up my freedom. It's not only about the money, that they can give you a great salary, benefits, and things like that, but it doesn't even match. It goes into one ear and just goes out the other. It's very difficult for someone to lure an entrepreneur to do things, because then you have to report. You actually feel that you're in a straitjacket. You can't move. If you work for a company, for example, and you have an idea, you can't do it. You got to do it on the side if you have the time. So that's something that is not very, very good. I'll just try to keep it short. I don't want to take time unless you want to ask me something more about that.
I would like to ask you about your parents. Were they supportive or at the beginning?
Yes, I was actually waiting for this question because my father's here, and I'm telling you this is unique. If you ask, we have a big problem in the Balkans. Let me start with that before I answer direct. The situation in the Balkans is that we love education. So if you would ask my father, what would he want his child to do, he would say, get a degree, get 2 degrees, get 10,000 degrees, because that's the way to be successful. And that was, during the time, that was the big thing. And you had to get a degree. And you still need a degree, don't get me wrong. But if I told my father at the time that I wanted to become an entrepreneur, I want to set up something on my own, and we did have these discussions, and he may remember, a bit older, not when I started college, like to set up a small soccer 5-a-side with my brother. He said, no, stop, we don't need that stuff, we don't need to do this, or starting a music business and DJ, no, it's not for you, because of the fact that Bulgarians, Greeks, Romanians, this area, let's say, culturally, our parents wanted degrees. They didn't want us to risk anything, correct? And that is a big problem. And that's why we didn't have this entrepreneurial culture in our country. And we still don't get it. And we still don't have it. So in the fact that if my parents help me, of course they help me. I think I am who I am because of my parents. And because of the fact that my father, after I finished college, said, you're on your own. And that's a bit more the American style to say, I don't have, here's 100,000 euros to do business, or here's 10,000, or never did that. It was very tough, so I had to figure out, what are we going to do? So that's part of it. But on the other hand, that doesn't mean that if someone is handed some money, he would actually, do bad. And I want to share the story of Stelios. Stelios Hatziouanou, EasyJet owner? The guy who owns EasyJet, the airline. Oh, Stelios. He's a good friend. We went to school together. And he is a very good example of someone who had all the money in the world, because his father was one of the richest people in Greece, in Cyprus, millions of dollars. He was a ship owner, and he didn't sit and say, I have a lot of money. He made an airline. So, you got to give him credit. So it's not just, So coming back to the question, of course, my parents supported me with education. I think I'm better because I'm educated. And if you look at the people who dropped out of college to become entrepreneurs, the top people, Steve Jobs dropped out of college, Bill Gates dropped out of college, right? Mark Zuckerberg left Harvard. And I can go on, there's a list of people that have done this. This is a great example of you don't need to have a degree to start up these days, okay? But if you ask if Steve Jobs was still living and you would ask him, or if Mark Zuckerberg would say, would you get a degree? He said, yeah, I want a degree. And if he has children, say, my children would get a degree. So it just happened. Don't think that, success is to drop out of college. Don't get me wrong. My parents gave me, whatever I needed to make sure I would not make a mistake, and put it that way, or make less mistakes, and be able, of course, to get up when you fall, as Rocky Balboa in the movies used to say. If you remember in boxing, it's not how many times you get hit. It's a matter of just getting up again and just doing your business, and that's something that I think we should share.
Can you tell us now about StudySmart?
Yeah, well, I'm very proud of StudySmart. StudySmart was actually my second real venture. I had a couple of ventures before that. One was a project which became a venture, which we could talk about later on, but I think it's a bit smaller. And StudySmart is a company that started off as a website. I really believe in websites, and I think all of you here do. there is a great opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities still on websites. Trust me, there's a lot of things that can be done. Do not make the mistake of saying, oh, they've done this. If that's the case, then we have one water, one glass, one tie, one shirt, one chair, one photo camera, one video. That's the idea. You can have a lot of them. So if someone has taken an idea that's related to what you want to do, or let's say an application or a game, you can do the same thing. You can benchmark that and just make it better. So it started as a website on education. And one thing that I share with my classes and when I do these talks is every new opportunity comes with a problem. You have a problem, you solve it. That's 60 or 70% of where the new innovation comes out. So what did I do? I saw that there was no website in the Greek language on education. So parents were coming to me and saying, hey, can we use your time? Can you tell us what our child should do? How much does this university cost? How do you apply? How do you make this? How do you do that? I said, I should actually write a book. That's actually the story. It was a book first. So I wrote a book, small book. I did some translations and all that stuff, and I made a book. It's called The Education Guide in Greek. I was very proud of it. It was a big mistake, by the way, to make it in Greek. So don't make that mistake. It's got to be in English. I learned my lesson. But anyway, it was a Greek book, and then eventually, a very good friend of mine, Constantine actually, we were sitting together during a meeting like 10, 15 years ago, and he said, or 12 years ago, and he said, why don't you put the book on a website? Which was common sense, right? But sometimes we can't see things, because I want to focus on the book. I said, yeah, you're right, let's make a website. So I started thinking about the website. And with a very good friend, Kiritsis, we set up the first educational website, which was quite successful. And you said the word successful. I don't think that I'm very successful. I think everyone has their own level of success. And in that sense, yes, I would accept it. But you can't just say to everyone who has a company that they're successful. But I think everyone could have their level of success. So I just want to say that as well. So after StudySmart came out, which was an educational website with free knowledge on universities, on rankings. You could ask a question, and I would answer in 24 hours. That was the big thing. That was unique. And they were asking me, are you actually answering? I said, yes, I am. I'm sitting in the evenings. I was getting around 2 or 3 questions per day, and then eventually there were 10 questions and 15 questions. And that actually website gave us the leads for training in my other company that I was a partner called Global Training. So it really gave us questions and feeding the other company to do training. It worked as a marketing tool for some years. And then eventually it became a professional training company itself when I departed from my previous partnership. And now we are in Greece, operating actually in Greece, but operating in about 10 countries on training. And very proud of that. Then after, of course, all these years, the website is actually revamped. It's launched today, by the way, so because it was off for construction, and today is the first day. And I think if you go online tonight, you'll probably see it. I'm very proud of that as well. And I'm honest with that, because I wasn't very proud of my previous website, unfortunately. But now I'm quite proud, because we really put a lot of time in it. And now StudySmart is changing. And I'm trying to help young entrepreneurs to come and use the space, and I'm investing whatever I have in my company. It's very important to say that. Other people, I would be better off sitting in an office or doing training for others. And I don't settle for that. You have to just go on and actually just move, because if you stop moving, it's like the bicycle you said earlier, you'll fall. Keep on going. It's a great quote by Mario Andretti, you ever heard of him? The Formula 1 driver. If things are under control, you're not going fast enough. You gotta go fast.
Income with StudySmart?
StudySmart has 3 or 4 revenue streams. And maybe there'll be 5 and 6 eventually. So one, of course, is a website. You have banners, people buy some space, and you can do that. Some people, of course, want to buy or rent our mailing list. We don't give the data, of course, but they can advertise through our mailing list. It's another way. Third way is actually to do training with us. We have master classes, and we do professional qualifications training like ACCA, CIA, CFA. We're into the qualifications, like the project management professionals. We don't do academic degrees, so we do these types of deals. So mainly these are the revenue streams, those three revenue streams right now. And we also had selling books, because we still write manuals. We still believe in print. I want to say something on this, because all of you, some of you are a bit younger, and everyone says, oh, go online, you got to go online, make an e-book, everything E. And I'm asking them, how many people are actually going online? And the answer is, it's growing, okay. How many people are reading things online? And the answer is, it's moving from 10% up to 50% or 60% or even 70%. And I ask them, what about the remaining 30, 40, or 50%? Don't just go with the trend. The trend is there, but there's a lot of other percentage which still reads books. And I still print things, even though that sounds weird. And I'm an environmentalist. I'm not doing this because I don't believe in waste, in recycling. But if you actually want to market something, if I go with my book to a manager and I give them a book, the manager remembers me. It has my name on it. It's Dr. Kiritsis. If I tell them, oh, go on my website, here's the link, get my ebook, they will never see it. And because of the fact that people who are still running these companies in leadership positions are older, they're not going to go to the website. See my point? So it's good sometimes to actually print some things, not have everything digitally. And I'm seeing this from the trainings. People like to have something to write and read still. So that doesn't mean that it's not fading, don't get me wrong. I know, we're checking this out, but that doesn't mean that I cannot print. And print now, as you know, is print to order. You can actually order 10 books. In the old days, you couldn't order 10 books. I had to make 1,000 books. It's a lot of money to make 1,000. So I could go to a printing shop now and say I want 50 books, just for marketing reasons. Smart thing to do, think about it. And in some cases, it may actually help you. So you're not printing too much, but you get the whole market. Don't just go digital, I don't want to go, you need some time. So that's actually, those are the revenue streams of the books, banners, lists, and of course training, which is our core business. And we have an amazing team, very proud of my team, very loyal team, I must say. My brother works with me, and we've been together for 10, 15 years now. It's very important to have people that you can trust. That's something I realize all the time. And we help each other a lot. And of course my team of trainers who actually are traveling the world and doing an excellent job. So my fifth or sixth revenue stream would be the common space now, which I think would actually help seminars and everything else.
That's great. You mentioned something about Mini Mba.
Yes, that's actually a great story. That is probably something that I would come here to talk about, and I think I will be in Bulgaria to talk about the story. I think next year at a conference. I made a program in 2004, which was called Mini Mba. You may have heard of these, the concept Mini Mba. Everyone knows what an MBA is, but they didn't have an idea of the Mini MBA. It wasn't my term. I'd seen the term online, and I liked the term. And the reason I made this, and this is something that it may inspire you, is I was teaching for MBAs, and I still do teaching for MBAs at universities. And I realized that if I was sitting across the room and listening to me, I would want to do something like what we're doing today. Talking about business, getting inspired. And there was too much theory in the curriculum. And I realized that there's a lot of mistakes and flaws in many MBAs. And I'm saying this because we're being recorded now, and I don't want to say something that may be misunderstood. A lot of MBAs have a lot of problems. I'm saying this openly, and I can challenge anyone on this. Now, what do I mean by problems? There are a lot of MBAs that have people who have never been in the business. How can you teach business when you've never been in the business? How can you teach entrepreneurship when you haven't risked 10 euros? And this is happening globally, right? In some business schools and colleges. Okay. How can you discuss and talk about marketing and what are the practical aspects of marketing when you haven't really done it, as someone working for a business, to be tried and tested, to be appraised on it? So that was one big problem. The second problem was the sequence. The third was the people who actually were doing the trainings. The fourth was the fact that many people get an MBA, but if you ask them, do you know about business now? You've done an MBA. You ready? Can you set up something? They said, what do you mean? No, I don't know. I have a lot of information, but I can't do that. So there's no real flow chart in their mind. Nothing that they could actually go back to and say, I can make a business plan. I know practically what strategy is. Because I was asking them, I was challenging some of my friends, what did you do? And by the way, I wasn't taught these things. I just learned them practically, being in business. So no, I can't do that. That doesn't work. You make mistakes, you learn. So you can challenge the book. The book says something, this doesn't apply. I have a golden rule in management. Everything applies 80%, not 100%. Everything I'm saying today, don't agree with me. But I think 80% you would agree. You can challenge anything in life. So I made a program, I called it Mini Mba. And I remember, even my brother and other people said, they were laughing at me. You're never going to sell this. I said, what do you mean? I think it's a great program. We did try it out for my first venture with my former company. It went very well. I copyrighted it, flow charted it, everything. And eventually, in my second venture and then working for other multinational firms, we started to get some traction. People really liked it. I was picking the people that would be the trainers. And my point was for someone to get a certificate, not a degree. I don't care about degrees. Degrees are good for titles. But do you actually know business? And I made a program that people really knew business. And when they finished it, they got the practical aspects of starting up a business, how to run a business, how to operate the business. And at this point in time, we are actually PwC, the largest audit firm in the world, partnered, actually bought the program. And of course, I'm linked with it globally. And we're offering in about 10 countries. And it's been one of the most successful programs for PwC. And it's being offered from Serbia to Abu Dhabi right now. So it's a great story. And people were laughing at it because they said, it's never going to work. So a lot of things can work if you really just put your focus and you put your mind to it.
Tell us a bit more about the marketing trends that...
Marketing, well, this is a tough question, depends on the industry. There's a lot of talk about marketing online. I mean, that's social media, and I think all of you are probably linked with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn and everything else. I'm also part of that. But there's a great guy you should look into called Seth Godin, an American marketeer. Amazing guy. He actually has a blog, and I'm actually reading a lot about him. I read a lot of his books, and he also sends a blog like every day, commenting on a few things. And he says, social media is a great thing to have. However, only when you actually create honest and true relationships. Because you can actually have a lot of likes. So you can do something online and 10,000 people can like, everyone's liking it. But when you ask them to give you money for something, will they give you money? No. There are companies, I think like BMW and General Motors, who spent millions on Facebook and everything, but it didn't raise their revenues. It did create awareness and more likes, but it wasn't something that they expected. They expected more out of it. So if you create true and honest relationships, then it could work. But if you just have it there and you're in social media especially, and you're just collecting likes and people, that doesn't mean it's going to work. So social media has to be optimized in the best possible way for it to work. I'm not an expert in this. We have people that help us with our company, and we're getting more into it. Don't think that people really know what works because it's something new. Facebook has been around for about 10 years, right? But that means it's new because it's changing the way it's doing things all the time, right? It's been around for the last, let's say, platform has been around for 2 or 3 years. LinkedIn is quite new. Company pages now, we're sending information. Instagram is something that past 4 or 5 years is getting there. So how do you link all these together to actually make something out of it? We're still doing research. And when a book is published about how to do it well, then it will change again. And then you may need to do something else. Maybe there's another website on there. So marketing, to answer the question and be specific, depends on the industry. For example, a big audit firm like PwC, how would they, they have a Facebook page, but I don't think they get audits from Facebook page, right? You wouldn't buy a car just from a Facebook page. But you will create awareness. You will know about a new BMW. But you're not going to buy it through Facebook. So awareness is there, but selling is not there. How can you link that? What's better for you? It depends on a service or a product. What are you selling? I'm selling services. So I have to create honest, and true interactions with people who follow me. But if you have a product, it's a different approach. But awareness is there, don't get me wrong. But yes, we are going digital. I think to give you a good answer, I think, would be to talk about CRMs. And those of you who are in IT know very well what I mean. You need to have a customer base. You need to use that effectively because people get things on their phones now, on their iPads, everywhere they are, and everything will be linked either by Bluetooth or whatever. You can connect in so many ways. This is the future, and you need to kind of find a way to have a very good CRM, update it all the time, and use it when you have to. Last point on that, Amazon, I'm an Amazon customer. I think there's 250 million people on Amazon customers. They have 430 orders per second. That's amazing, isn't it? They know my preferences. They know when I shop. They know who I am. They can correlate my age. They can see what I'm trying to look for. So they have a lot of data. They have a great CRM. They know when to send me a newsletter and say, hey, Constantine, this is for you. There's an offer on something you looked for. So they're doing it very well, but Amazon is Amazon. So we have to find a way for our company to ensure if we're selling products, we need that. If it's a service, it's a different story. And of course, in a talk like this, I can't really demonstrate it, but I think you got my point. Of screening. Every time I'm driving my car, I have an idea. And how do you screen? You need to do like 7 to 10 steps when you screen ideas. Never discard ideas. Never. Even if initially they say, oh my God, this will never work. I'll tell you why. It may be timing. And one of my examples personally is that I set up the ACCA qualification in Greece in 1999 with my partner at the time, Kiritsis, and we actually thought about offering this to the market. So I became an integral part of that on a daily basis to sell it in the market. If we did an analysis at the time, no one knew about it in Greece. It was not recognized, and they even sued us. So what would someone do? Oh, forget about it. No, we could anticipate that in 2 or 3 years, if we hang in there, when this and this, based on forecast, will happen, international reporting standards, multinational growth in Greece, this would be a good opportunity. So we were expecting that. The whole point is to hang in there. So when you screen ideas, don't discard them. And a great quote from a friend, he said, when they tell me it cannot be done, that's when I want to do it. That's how you have a touchscreen phone. That's why we had the Polaroid camera. That's how we had the Kodak film. These things were amazing at the time when they came out. If you ask my father about the Polaroid camera, remember that was magic. Well, we forget about it. When I saw the first iPhone, it was magic. You could do this, but we forget about it. So, and probably someone said, this could never happen, but they did it. So, first of all, you got to screen the environment. Just to say something on this, a bit more academic now. Screen the environment, which is the classic pastel analysis: politics, economics, social, technology, environment, and legal. Just think about them, paragraphs. You can write them down on a plan. Then you look at the competitors. And one mistake we always make is that we look at the existing competitors. You have to look at the competition that may come in. That's the threat of new entrants, as the model says. A specific model I have in mind. So the whole point is to anticipate who can get into your market. I'll give you a great example. You know what the new competitor of the banks are now? The new competition?
Yeah, Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is one of them, which many banks didn't really see coming when it came out a bit more aggressively a few years ago. So Bitcoin is one of them. Mobile phone companies, my friends. Vodafone eventually may become a bank. Why? Because we're doing everything from our phone. So you have a phone, that's your boarding pass, that's your email, that's your CRM, that's your photos, whatever. You have everything there. Eventually, you will shop from here. And there's virtual stores. You know that. There are stores that you can actually use the QR code. So when you think about these things, Vodafone may compete with UniCredit Bank in the future. Now, if UniCredit Bank never saw this coming. So what will UniCredit Bank do? Maybe sell phones. We will see these things. Skype has taken away revenues from the airline industry. Why? Because I talk to my children via Skype, so I miss them less. Or I don't go to a meeting in Bulgaria. We can talk via. We did have a Skype call, didn't we? So we talked via Skype and Viber with Alexandra. So I didn't have to come to Bulgaria to set this up. So airlines lost money from that. So if you think, that's my second point in screening. First the environment, then competition, then forecasts, then national advantages. Maybe the nation has something that's unique. I always talk about Serbia, which I'm very proud of working with a lot of Serbian people. Whenever I go to Serbia, we talk about sports. I think the Serbs are amazing in sports, and I think they haven't invested in it. The Serbs have the best basketball players, the best football players, the best water polo players, the best tennis players, the best volleyball, best handball players. They're amazing. Compared to, analogy, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm not talking bad about Greece or Bulgaria or other countries. But if you look at this small country, the best basketball coaches are Serbian. So if my son wants to become a basketball player, I would probably send him to a camp in Serbia. But are there any camps in Serbia? Not too many. The country is not investing in what they're good in. It's another fifth point. Maybe the country. Bulgaria, for example, and I said this earlier to a couple of people, you guys have amazing IT skills. This country has something there. I don't know, I can't pinpoint it. Greece has tourism. We may not be doing it effectively, but we do have great climate. And that's luck, because a country could have luck or knowledge. Qatar has gas, that's luck. Abu Dhabi has oil, that's luck. But Iraq has oil, but they haven't done anything with it that they could. They're a great country, they could do something with it, but they have political issues. So you can have a resource, not do something with it. So that's my fourth point, not to confuse you, but you have to think of the nation. Maybe you can benefit from something from the nation. And then, of course, I would look at social media, what people are writing about it. This is a great technique that people don't use too much, and I think you should. All of you watch YouTube, right? So if you have an idea, go to YouTube. We like videos. You watch the video, read the comments. Companies are reading the comments and making reports. The company doesn't have to spend money for research anymore, or at least not as much. You go to YouTube and you correlate all these comments. And you say, Apple is reading this, we should change our battery. People are pissed off at our battery. We should change, the rounded, or the glass. It's not very. Remember the bending issue? They were online checking what people were talking about. So we're doing research. We are giving information to the company, where the company 10 years ago was spending a lot of money to find out. Now we're telling them. So that's another screening process. So to summarize: environment, competition, the nation, social media, and of course numbers, forecasts, and trends from 4, 5, 10 sources, could start screening something if it would make sense. Okay? Then, to continue the screening, you'd have to go and think about, what are you good in? Do things that you're good in. Don't invest in things that you don't know. I'm in training. I think I'm good in a few things in training. So I will do things in training. No one can say this guy did something that he didn't know. He wasn't good at. So if you're good in IT, do something in IT. Or, I have another theory, if you have passion for it. For example, my brother loves football. He knows everyone, he knows when even football players have been born. He knows about Stoichkov, he knows about Balakov, he knows about he knows their age, he knows which team they played for. He does it because it's a hobby, he loves it. He could probably make a great website on statistics and do other types of correlations. See my point? But he has passion for it. He didn't play at that level. He's a good player, he's an amazing player, but he never played that level. So he would be good at it. There's passion there. I like music. I have a band. We're talking about this. I have a rock band. Because I'm not Bon Jovi, I love playing, and I don't care what people think. If people like me, I can tell if they like me or not. But I have passion for it, so maybe I can write a good song or something. So you gotta have passion, know your capabilities, have some resources. Money is not the only answer to things. People, I always hear them say, if I had 50,000 euros, I say, well, I'll give it to you. Can you make a plan, please? You know why companies fail? Because 80% have no plan. Small and medium enterprises. No plan, nothing. I asked them, did you have a plan? They said, no. They just start something. And then 80% of them fail. Sorry, it's tough to start something. You know, we're here talking about startups, but 80% of the companies that start fail because 80% of them have no plan. You know, you have to, the stats tell the truth, but you have to know all the stats. So what do? Make a plan. And one of the reasons why Greece is in a crisis is because people were actually getting money from banks without having a plan. You could get money easily, and that was a problem. So to finish the screening process on the internal part of it, you need to have capabilities, check your resources, and of course have a strategy. And if I ask you what your strategy is, it's a huge topic. What's your plan? Are you going to be expensive? Why? Are you going to be in a niche market? Why? Are you going to be low cost? Why? Are you going to give your product for free? And if you ask me, who's giving it for free? Candy Crushes. See, games are giving it for free. How do they make money? And I learned from my father, don't give yourself for free. Always ask them to pay something because that's the way they respect you, and don't do this and don't do that. That's the way we grew up. And now we have websites for free. We have games for free, and we all download them for free. You can figure out how these guys make money. It's a strategy. They go into low cost usually after that, but there's a plan behind that. So that's, so screening has 6-7 areas. And by the way, if you're good at this, you can do it very quickly. But don't discard things. You have to anticipate in the next few years. Sorry for taking long on that one.
But
Yeah.
Very interested about. And you mentioned that there are 3 ingredients for a successful strategy?
Well, yes. I usually say that in my classes about you need 3 things. If someone tells me, how should I go into the market? Let's say the market, it's a good market. We did our analysis. What should I do? There are 3 things you have to think about. Number 1 is you need to identify the critical success factors of your industry. So let's say you want to get into the restaurant industry, which I use a lot. What's important for the restaurant? And let me give you a little tip. It's very interesting. Restaurants, to make a long story short, need 3 basic things. 1, good quality food. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But 80% of you probably agree with this. Good food, good quality food. You need good customer service, 100%, which we lack in our countries. Would you agree with that? Okay. And thirdly, you need to be clean. My wife goes to the toilet first, and then she says, we can enter. She checks the toilet first. That's how important it is for some people. So these 3 things, and then I ask people, these are critical to work, to have a good restaurant. And then I ask them, have you been to a restaurant with a bad toilet? And they said, yes. So this guy didn't understand one of the most important ingredients. So that's my first point. You got to understand what's critical for your business. Let me change the example. You want to do an application.
Yeah.
Okay? What's critical for the application? And you would tell me, it's got to be user-friendly, Dino. It's got to be upgraded constantly. It's got to do it. Because some people just make an application. See my point? Some people just make a restaurant. And they don't have good customer service. I've been to restaurants with bad customer service. And I go to restaurants only when they respect me. I can go to medium quality food, but if they respect me, I will stay. If the food is excellent, but there's no customer service, I will leave. That's how important customer service is. And we agreed earlier that we don't have good customer service in our countries. Overall, I mean. So, right off the bat, the restaurant has missed the 3 critical factors. How difficult is it to find these 3 things? Let me ask you that. This is very easy. Applications, find those 3, 4, 5 things. They're not 25.
Someone will tell me, you got to have good music for your restaurant. And let me tell you, well, no, you don't have to have it. You need to have those 3 points first, and the music is an extra. It's not critical, it's important. The word critical means critical. If I do training, what's critical? Good trainer. Correct? If I'm doing exam training, good pass rates. Correct? So if I have bad pass rates and bad trainers, how can I have a training company? But some people make a training company and then try to find the trainers. Some people make an application but never know the next step. How to be upgraded, user-friendly, the colors they would use. Some things are very important in applications. How fast it downloads, if it's going to be given for free. It depends on the industry. But I always find the 3 ingredients, the 4 ingredients, they're usually 5 or 6 things. They're not thousands of things. I know restaurants with no parking. I know restaurants that you cannot find them if someone doesn't tell you where to go. So location is irrelevant. Location is important for fast foods. Let's find those critical factors. That's number 1. Number 2 is having resources. Meaning not only money. I'm telling you, if you have a great plan, I can help you find money. The resources, there are a lot of people out there, maybe in the Middle East, that are amazing investors. They're waiting for ideas. They'll give you some money if you know how to pitch your idea. So resources is not only money, it's the team. What about your human resources? Are you alone? Do you have someone with you? What's your team? Something that I realized, a very big mistake I made, and I want to share this openly with you, is that I became the product of my company. People know me more than my company. That is a mistake. You need to scale up a business, you've got to make more Dinos. More people that can do similar things. That's another mistake, but I'm trying to solve that now. So resources, you need people, you need technology, whatever, and of course you need some money. But the money is not the only thing. And to prove that to you, Real Madrid spent $100 million, but they didn't win the Champions League until last year. They had a lot of money. Barcelona had a lot of money. They didn't win the Champions League. They're football teams. I'll give you an example of that. You spend a lot of money on a restaurant, and some people don't go. Have you seen restaurants that they just didn't make it because they didn't have the other ingredients? So money is not the only success point, the combination of the 3rd factor now. So you have find the critical factors. Number 2 is the resources. It's a combination of resources. And you can have one or the other, because you may have resources, but you may spend it all on the training building, not the trainers. So it's got to be combined. And the 3rd thing is actually having some sort of capability or competency. So if you want to get into the restaurant business, I would ask you, are you a good chef? Do you like food? Do you have a passion for food? Do you know anything about a bar? If you don't, you're probably not going to succeed, because someone does know much better than you. And it will take you time to learn. So competencies, critical factors for success, and measuring them, that's a different story. I'm not going to get into that, and resources. And then after you combine those, you'll say to yourself, I'm going to go high price. I'm going to go low price. I'm going to be in this niche market. I'm going to do this. You will find ways, after you analyze these things, that will help you, it's not the only thing, reach a good strategy, a good plan.
I guess you learned all this on the way, or did you?
Oh, on the way, 100%. And whoever says that they learned it in school or whatever, that's a lie. It's a lie. You make a lot of mistakes and you learn, and thankfully I've made less mistakes than the positive things. It's, you have to balance things. You make a lot of mistakes, you learn, but I still make a lot of mistakes, but they're minor mistakes. I try things out and say, let me see if it's going to work, and I know when to stop it now. But that's because I'm a bit older. When you're young, you can make more mistakes, but there's no problem. If you don't fail, you're not going to learn. If you don't try, it's like you're not going to play basketball if you can't try to shoot the ball in the basket. You cannot win if you can't play. A lot of quotes like this, which are very inspirational. Try it out. The problem in our culture sometimes is that when you try out, we're afraid that someone's going to say, oh, he didn't make it, or oh, he didn't, or your peers, the culture. Forget about that. That's something the Americans are very good at. They don't care. Americans go for it. And that's why you have Silicon Valley, you have all these investors. People try things out. A lot of amazing things come from America. It's a great country for these things. Amazing. We haven't been like that. We haven't learned that type of culture.
What motivates you?
As I said earlier, I always want to win. So competition is a great motivator. I think I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for competition. I always want to get better, and reach a certain point to win. It's part of winning as well. But I love doing things my own way. My freedom motivates me. I do not really want to work with a lot of restrictions. Freedom, you got to be creative. And one thing that you probably know, some of you may be with big companies, but a big company is great, it gives you security, it's good to work for some years. If you really want to become an entrepreneur, you may lose your creativity in a big company because a big company has procedures. They have to have procedures. That's why they're a big company. You have about 100,000 people, you got to have internal procedures, controls. So that doesn't make you creative. I was asking a friend yesterday, you'd be amazed with this. I had a training yesterday in Athens. And of course I won't say the name of the student, but he works for a big multinational firm. And I asked him, true, I said, George, how much time are you actually spending for procedural issues? He said 50%. Do you believe that? 50% of his time is going on online stuff that he has to do, reporting back to the company, reporting this, sending a report, going back and talking to a manager. Sorry, but 50% of your time not being able to, you can't be creative. That's why a lot of small companies are creative. And what does Google do? They buy the small company. You don't hear a lot of this, but Google still buys a lot of small companies. Facebook buys a lot of small companies. eBay buys a lot of small companies that make these. Why? Because the small company is creative. Let's do this. Let's try this out. Let's sell this. But when you go to a big company, it's great for other reasons and for other types of people maybe. So I'm here to try to make you get you inspired to do something on your own. But it really doesn't really help the creativity. Unless the company has done a great job. And there are companies, to be fair, like let's say 3M is an amazing, it's innovative. I mean, I think Google still has a lot of innovation, of course. Their procedures, the more you grow, the more difficult it becomes. But there's a lot of great companies that have innovation.
Well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
this talk.
Thank you.
After that, we'll have our guests
Sure.
to ask you some questions if
Yep.
they want.
Yep.
And,
We're a bit tight with time, but I think
yes,
we can
I'm not sure
manage
how
this.
much time we have.